You
We
doing?
are.
How are you doing, my friend? With everything else that's going on.
I'm home. Life is good. I'm going to be home for like another week. I'm excited.
Nice. Nice. All right.
Let me
You
see
can be
here.
coming in here right now. All right. Today's episode, guys, is gonna be a doozy. In fact, Miss Paluro had a situation that she was talking to a client and stuff and her friendship. Why do you actually panic in your new relationship? She has a lot of insights, and that's going to be our topic today because relationships do move on, especially if you're in a new relationship or, why do you really panic? And then you start putting in all these things in your head
Yeah.
and the behaviors start changing. While I get us all set up and everything else, do what we do normally every week. Welcome back. My name is Gordon Watt from Boundaries and Brotherhood. I'm here with my co-conspirator, my partner for the Carrie Polero Show. Carrie, take it away. Let us go do our thing. So we got our intros, and I'll get us all set up on the technical side.
Awesome. I'm Carrie Polero. I'm a relationship and identity coach. I help high achieving women stop chasing love and start choosing themselves. And today's topic is when you panic. The woman who panics when the communication slows down, when the texts slow down, when the calls slow down, when the replies get shorter, um, when the energy feels like it's fading.
Okay, okay, okay. I mean, what are some of the problems you see, right? Because to me it comes down to being insecure about a lot of things. With you start, even though the relationship might be going in the direction, but life still moves on. Break
Mhm.
that down and give us what we're going to be going over to see what else could be the problems or what are you seeing?
Well, I really want to discuss where it comes from.
Oh,
And
okay.
this came up in
Yes.
conversation. This came up in conversation yesterday with a friend of mine, and how his partner is interpreting um, the slowed down response. Like
Okay.
he was giving me like this whole story of I'm out with some friends, and she starts texting me while I'm out with friends, and she knows I'm out with friends. I'm not paying attention to my phone, and so I'm not responding like immediately. And then she's
Correct.
starting
Correct.
to panic, starting to interpret his like response time into meaning something about her, and or that he's lost interest. And he's like, I've only been gone for a couple of hours. Like, wow, this was definitely an
Or a couple
eye-opening
hours.
couple of hours. He's like, oh my God, this was an eye-opening experience, right?
Wow.
Of her, how she was interpreting his response time. It wasn't like bam, bam, bam. And I thought, wow, this is fascinating to me. But
It
um,
is to me too.
yeah, for me, like I would want to know what's her like what is her relationship like with her male caregivers, like with her dad. Like that was the first thing that popped into my head.
Because that's where it stems from.
That's where I believe it stems from. And
Okay.
like for me, because I know that in the past I interpret panic or the silence. I become panicked. I had become panicked because silence felt like danger, because it reminded me of what it felt like to be left.
Right, 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 right. So it's basically what, it comes from trauma. It comes from not dealing with the situation handily. It comes from a lot of different things, but where does the panic and anxiety comes from? Is it because if it's a want thing? Is it not just a female thing, or is it a male thing, or is it just a personal thing based on things that happened in the past?
I think for each person it's the same. It really goes back
Okay.
to your past, like how you interpreted your caregiver, how they showed up for you. So for example, I'll use me for example.
Okay.
My dad left when I was 6.
Okay.
Abandonment, right? Like, so I have that
Right, right.
abandonment. I feel like that's dangerous. Oh my God, my dad left. And then I remember life got really freaking hard then, right? Like, so I associate his leaving with life getting hard, being difficult. Now this is dangerous. I don't feel safe.
True.
And
Okay. Okay.
okay,
Yeah.
so that is where when I became later on, when I got into relationship, I would interpret their lack of response time, or if they didn't answer me immediately, it was uh, they don't care. He's never coming back. Like, it would go very, very extreme. Oh my God,
Mm.
he must be cheating. He's gonna meet someone better. Like, I wrote all the stories about because all I wanted was some reassurance,
Right.
but I wanted the reassurance from him. So I'm like, that began the looking for things outside of me to make me feel better, right? Like I'm looking for him to validate me. We always go back to this validation. We're looking for the other partner to validate us.
100%. Because if you haven't dealt with that, what they call, what Carrie's post says, the little girl is still running your adult life because of the past traumas that you have.
Yep.
Even for myself, right? Now, when you get into relationships and you're not secure in yourself, you haven't put in the work. And guys, if you like this type of stuff that we got going on, please hit that like button. Or if you agree, leave us a comment on our YouTube channel, because that's where we integrate with a lot of different stuffs, or the school community. But, in that same breath, that little person in you, that trauma that you had, whether, like you said, your dad abandoned you, mine got divorced at a young age. I mean, all that good stuff. So we became this person always trying to protect, always trying to look for acceptance, always trying to get attention from the wrong places. How does that? Why does that? If you don't deal with those things, why does that reassurance never last as an adult?
Oh, so for me, my little girl
Oh,
learned,
I'm gonna be like, I love when cats. Oh, for me, yeah, that's gonna be the like
well, this is going to get
the whole
juicy.
line. Oh, for me.
So I I learned, my little girl learned that love disappears, right? When my dad left,
Ooh,
love disappears, life gets hard. Uh, and but he did always come to my baseball game or my basketball games, my volleyball games, my baseball games, my
okay.
any type of accomplishment. Like if I was getting an award, like he would come to those things. So what I learned was safety and love depend on my performance. And that
Oh, that's a
connection
good
meant I have to
one.
earn my place.
Right, right. See, for me, it comes down to attention seeking, right? Even with me and my little boys and everything else, I kind of measure that, because everybody, they say they want time. No, everybody wants attention. Companies look
Yep.
for attention. Social media is looking for attention. Everybody is striving for that attention seeking thing. Even as an adult, everybody's seeking for attention. There's there's only so much that oops, there's only so much on a show. On a show. On a show now. Right. Hey, it's live happens, right? So
There you
when
go.
you seek validation and stuff like that, right? When I thought it was an emergency, guys, but if you're looking for validation as seeking that little person you hasn't been dealt with, it manifests more as an adult and it gets worse. Explain that.
Well, when you grew up associating connection with conditional attention, being praised for
Ooh,
achievements, for
yep.
looks, for being a good girl or a good kid, and your body learned that attention equals love and silence equals rejection, right? Because you're not around. When silence is you're not around, I have to do something. So as an adult, you subconsciously chase attention, but not because you necessarily want the validation, but because your body equates it with survival. I don't feel safe unless I have attention.
Yes. Yes. So what would be some steps people give us situations, what you're seeing in your space with your clients? Because we started out with a story, right? With that situation. Explain to the viewers the story that you was in, that came up about, and how do you coach somebody through it, or how do you explain it?
Mm,
Now she's
wow. So when you have a guy, well, for example, the conversation I had was he didn't he his partner respond or was texting him, he didn't respond to the following day. Um, and she was upset. Um, she had this interpretation that he was rejecting her by, or he was doing something else by not coming or by not responding to her. And so his question to me was, he was like, she's starting an argument over something small, and I don't really believe that she's mad about me not responding. I believe this is deeper. Like this has nothing to do with my response time. And I was like, yeah, I mean, the silence probably feels unbearable for her,
Mm,
like,
right.
and I'd rather have conflict than distance because conflict feels safe, right? If I am having conflict with you and I can have a perhaps an emotional outburst
Some with
or
someone, right?
and it, yeah, like I feel powerful. If especially if I'm not really aware of what's happening, I'm going to utilize different parts of me to feel powerful, which is for me, it was always conflict. I want to start a fight with you because
Okay.
I want to feel like I'm in control, even though I'm not.
Back to that
But
again.
I feel out of control, right? Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. And so it was really just like no matter what, like the coaching was no matter what, you get to remain calm through all of it. Just remain
Oh,
calm. Like the reaction is just going to fuel the conflict, right? And she's going to feel powerful, but really all it's going to do is deteriorate the relationship and totally sabotage the relationship.
basically, yeah. I mean, me and
Yeah.
Doc just talked about this last week. Why you men sabotaging themselves and their relationships? But
Hmm.
it's the same thing. We might react differently as guys because
Hmm.
logical self. Women might do things differently because they're seeking validation. But it all stems back down to what happened in the little girl, in the little boy, in the little
Hmm.
thing that happened years ago and you never dealt with. And it's just another behavior going through. This is why she puts on her post. That's why, um, you know, the therapy, the books, the nervous system acts only can go so far unless you internalize everything, right? Because
Hmm.
if you internalize all those things, you know, you're gonna overgive, you're gonna overtake, you're just gonna be doing certain things just to do things for the hell of doing certain things, not realizing that it's repelling sometimes, right?
Yes, and I'm so glad that you said that because I was listening to the story yesterday and I was like, oh, wow, she believes she's trying to connect with him. To him, it felt like complete chaos.
You're like what? From
I
a
was like,
guy's
what is
perspective.
happening? Like, what is she doing? And for her, it was like, I need you, right?
Okay.
But really, what she's communicating is, I believe you're a threat and you're out to get me. And then all
Like
of a sudden,
the
now
reverse.
it's the reverse. And so now the polarity
Yes.
is gone, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And he feels the panic and he doesn't understand it. And when she becomes reactive, when she's anxious and critical, and when she shuts down, his nervous system like totally reads it as no matter what I do, it's not enough. And then he starts to pull back because
I
he wants
see.
to feel
Yeah,
space, right?
absolutely.
And he's like, let me
Absolutely.
give her space to like figure it out. But to
But
her,
that's
that
not what she
feels
wants.
no. She's like, look, he always leaves. So essentially, what I was explaining is, I'm like, both of y'all are on defense. She's chasing, you're retreating. The distance widens, and so essentially, you both are creating.
Wow.
You both have these beliefs that your partner will leave, and
Wow.
you both are participating in creating that.
And they're both self-sabotaging their own relationship when it didn't even give it a chance to be something great.
Right. Because if you think about it, like he interprets her reaction as control, drama. He gets critical. He's been conditioned to equate emotional expression with danger. So when she expresses her emotions,
Unbelievable.
especially pain, it comes across to him as blame.
Yes.
Like you never
And
show up, you
yeah.
don't care. And so then he withdraws because he's like, whoa, like now I feel I need to protect myself here. He feels like he's being attacked. But to her, when he withdraws, the silence confirms that, you know, I'm too much. I'm too much. And to
So
him, her intensity just means I'm never enough.
true, because that's how men's gonna take it. That's how men's gonna feel about that. What do you give the advice for, say, men that's trying to understand women about this type of situation, right? What would be your best advice, insight, feedback on these coping mechanisms for men when, like, say for me, for example, I'll be feeling the exact same way if that situation came arise, but
Mhm.
it's just a false perception, right? What do you tell men? Get guys, listen up, guys, because she's always gives good men advice from a women's point of view. In fact, that's some of the comments because you might be getting some insights from a female, a woman that's been, say, she could have been this type of woman you dated in the past. She's been there. I'm not going to do the whole story, but give us some men advice and some women advice watching this too, because there's a bunch of people watching both right now.
So what I explain to men is that she's not relating from her adult self. She's relating from the little girl energy. And that little girl's terrified of being left. And it's important that he understands that and does not take that on because that has nothing to do with him. He's not responding to her truth. He's reacting to the emotional charge of her protection pattern, right?
Reacting.
And so her nervous system is like, please love me. Like, please don't leave me. Please love me. And his nervous system is hearing, you're failing. So it's like we're speaking two completely different languages. And that mismatch turns every moment of
Into some,
disconnection into a fucking
yes,
battlefield.
yeah, into something like okay, now you get resentful, now you
Yep.
get combative, now you start nitpicking on certain things, now you start looking at her flaws, she start looking at your flaws when it's not even the adult in the room.
Exactly.
You know
And
what I
both
mean?
both people want the closeness, but they just don't know how to communicate that to one another because all of their stuff gets in the way.
Yes,
Everybody comes with their stuff.
everybody comes with baggage. It's how
Yeah.
you deal with the baggage in it's like say, I mean, I just had this talk with Andrea because situation with friends and going on, you know, everybody has baggage to it in everything because I look at it as a plane from if I'm looking at everything objectively and looking at things from an open mind and looking at things from the backstory. I try to understand the backstory for a lot of people so I can have at least a non-combative, non-judgmental way of talking to people. And this is
Hmm.
why I get and from a with a background like mine where everything was combative, it's a big eye opener to kind of like not jump to conclusions, not to, you know what I mean, uh figure out a way to like just be right all the time because that's not going to get me nowhere, right?
Hmm.
She's rolling her eyes.
Yeah. Both sides. It's not going to get anybody anywhere.
Right, 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 right. Now, now, what are some of the surface fixes you see versus the deep work fixes?
Well, I always say my number one thing that has supported me is to practice the pause. Period.
Mm,
When I feel that rush, that panic, that urge to like over explain, to pick a fight, like just stop. And because I don't get to make it mean that something's wrong.
okay,
I can just simply like sit with it and understand, okay, my body is feeling some kind of way right now. It's like I'm remembering something that's happened in my past. So this event in front of me is
right.
not um is not how like what I'm feeling in my body has nothing to do with this event. This event is representing something that's happened in my past. And
It's
so that
representing.
awareness pulls me out of that story and into the present moment, like by pausing. So it allows my adult self to lead instead of letting my little girl react and become explosive or, like start to sabotage.
Absolutely. Because it's going to come back to self-sabotage. Really, that little girl that never did get basically healed from that thing, having dealt with the baggage that she got. And she might be
Mhm.
dealing that with um her partner. And it goes for guys too, because guys get, you know what I mean? Guys get like combative. They want ego, they want pride. You
Yeah.
mean and you're talking from a person that, you know, has survived numerous things and to understand how somebody can work. This is why I think my relationship, my marriage is, besides up and downs, it's not perfect. It's boring. It's redundant sometimes, especially when you have kids. But I've had an understanding of a lot of different things and where it comes from, right? Now, when you're talking to, say, some of your clients that's going through something similar like this, like you just did, what is the advice you give to, what activities do you kind of like mention to them? Or do you give them like how you just mentioned, your emotional intelligence, when your body feels a certain way, you know what to do and pause.
Yeah.
It took you a long time to figure that out.
Yeah.
To actually put it in practice.
Yeah. And just because I paused didn't mean that I was feeling any better
No, it didn't mean jet, really.
at all.
It didn't
So
mean
yeah,
crap.
I was
But,
like,
but what do you tell them? Like, give us an example of, say, I'm your client. I'm a guy. My wife is going through this situation. I'm thinking, feel like she's doing something. What would be some of your advice, coaching, systematic, symptoms, diagnosis, whatever you want to call it? How would you go through and run it through me?
and well, it sounds so simple. Like with my
It
clients,
does.
I recognize, I let them know, look, your nervous system just needs a new reference point for safety. That's all. And so it doesn't come from him texting you back, but it comes from you anchoring in yourself. So, like, I'll have them practice a little grounding exercise where they'll just like put their hand on their heart, maybe one on their
Okay.
belly, and breathe. And
Okay.
like they'll breathe until their exhales are longer than their inhales. And then just really like feel their feet on the ground, like just like
Grounded.
feel grounded and
Okay.
repeat to themselves that I'm still here, I've got me. And because that's how you begin to regulate, not by trying to
Absolutely.
control the external stuff outside of you, but by stabilizing myself on the inside.
Yes, yes. Because stabilizing yourself can make a big difference in what you have going on in the future. Because all of this will arise again in the future. It'll
Absolutely.
happen many more times, right?
Yes.
Now, what do you do when you realize that it's coming about is going to make you feel differently, right? So, like in Carrie's post, right? Love doesn't feel safe until you get to the root pattern that keeps pulling you toward men, women who can't fully meet you. Explain that quote.
Mm. Well, you fully get to meet yourself.
Well,
And I get to interrupt that attention loop. Um, until I can interrupt that attention loop, that impulse to chase, to
okay.
perform for attention, like that impulse of, oh my God, please see me, please see me. I get to see me first. That's the
Yes.
only way that I'm going to meet a man that's going to rise to meet me is if I can meet myself first. I have to seek that inward, like internally, and turn my
Yeah, that's huge.
attention
Always. Yes. Yes.
back on myself every single
Yes.
time I get to turn the attention back on myself. And I know a lot of people in the beginning, it's difficult for them to wrap their head around this, where every time a situation occurs, I think to myself, coming from responsibility, what can I take ownership of in this situation? Like,
So is that what you tell yourself when some situation arises that you tell your clients or your people that you work with? Is that what
yeah,
you?
I bring them back
Okay.
to taking ownership of, okay, so what do you recognize within yourself?
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's never the thing. It's like it's a mentor told me a long time ago. It is never somebody else. It's never somebody else, never something else. It's always you. You are always the answer. And so what can
Like
you
I
take
say that
ownership of?
too.
Yep. What can you take
You
ownership
have been the
of?
key. You are the key. Like me and Doc said, when you came out, when you were born, you were born perfect because you made it. Now, somehow, somewhere, you got misguided, mistreated, you got traumatized, everything, some life happened, things go wrong. But once you get back and you figure out what makes you happy, where you can hold your accountability, what you can do to get yourself back right to when you were born, life changes. And half the time is you can have control of the key, the door, the hinge, what's behind it, what's before it, everything, even the people. you you have control of about. Now when you say um it's not the happening of the person. Give us an example, another example of how a thing, person, place, or thing can create something that gives you an emotional charge, but how you learn to teach it into your clients.
The thing that gives so and I'll just use again like the him
Yeah.
not responding right away. It's about me
Give me another
owning the
example. In
okay.
case somebody else is like watching this, like, okay, I already know that example. Give me another example. You know,
Okay. Another example is when I am trying to communicate with my partner.
okay,
Sometimes I just want you to listen. Sometimes I just want you to listen. I don't need you to fix it. And he starts offering these suggestions, and I can feel it in my body, like everything in my body. The little girl comes out and is like, "Don't fucking tell me what to do." Right? Like,
this just
whoa.
happened to me yesterday.
Whew.
It happened
And
to me, so I know.
this happens to me all the time, and I get to sit there and then I'm like, okay, well, how do I take ownership? Well, ownership starts with awareness. And so I realize I'm like, oh, you know what? I didn't communicate that, hey, I want to share something with you. I really just want to process it.
Mm,
I just want you to listen. I don't need you to fix anything. I just want to process it. Because a lot of times, like, I lead myself to the answer when I'm communicating it, right? But if
right.
I don't know that's what I'm looking for, and I'm just like, hey, and it all goes back to being intentional with my communication. And I think Abel is so great with that with me because sometimes I'll just start talking, and he's like, okay, what's the intention of the communication? Because he knows, like,
Ooh,
a
I
lot of
love that.
times, yeah, a lot of times I'm like, I'm not looking for your thoughts or advice, although I do appreciate his perspective. I don't like, I want to make sure that that's understood is I do appreciate his perspective, but certain times I know the answer is within me and I get to come to the conclusion myself. There are specific times that I'll come and say, you know what? I've been processing this but I would love a completely unbiased perspective. Would you mind sharing with me what your thoughts are? So I will
Right.
ask. But it's really about being aware. Like ownership starts with me being aware of my pattern of like everything wanted to react in my body and I was like, "Oh, well, I didn't ask for him just to listen." And so I got exactly what he thought that I was looking for was him to fix it or him to give me some kind of answer.
Do women, let me ask you this. Do women, when you say something like that as a female, as a
Mhm,
woman, right, and you ask your partner, or sometimes you don't tell your partner,
mhm.
right? Is does it make you angry when we give you advice when you don't ask for it?
So there's two answers to that. Honestly, it just depends how spiritually fit I am that day. I mean, if I'm like the other day when this happened to me, I was in the middle of like trying to figure this thing out and I was just kind of talking out loud, but I didn't
Okay.
communicate that I wanted to talk out loud. I
Okay.
was just
Oh,
sharing.
okay.
And so when he gave me his thoughts, everything in my body was like, dude, don't fucking tell me what to do. Like, I don't need that. But I also was like, oh, yeah. I didn't ask him just to listen. And
Okay.
so because I didn't ask him to listen, like I felt everything in my body, and I'm like, oh, you know what? You didn't set this conversation up to win, Carrie. This is on
Okay.
you. So just listen to what he's saying, because at the
Okay.
same time, um, interrupting a man is absolutely, or interrupting anyone is not okay. That shows lack of respect, right? Like, and or at least that's what I believe. And so I sit back and allowed him to give me his thoughts. It wasn't like I was really taking them in that moment. I did later on when I had my nervous system calm down. I actually I thought about some of the things he said and I was like, oh wow, he made some really great points. His
Okay.
perspective is always valuable. I just know there are certain times when I'm open to it and when I'm not. And it's my responsibility to express that to him, to set him up to win, to set me up to win, and to set the relationship up to win. Period.
Right. But see, not many people have that work, because if you used to tell me this 10 years ago, I would say you full of shit. Right?
And the whole thing is, it's
Right.
interesting that my whole body will go to, don't fucking tell me what to do. He's not
Of
telling me what
course.
to do. He's just sharing his perspective,
He's
not
sharing. Yes.
just sharing his perspective, not
So
telling me what to do. But I will internalize that as, oh, he's trying to boss me around. Hmm.
right, right. So let me ask you this next question, right? How does this in a relationship back to the title that we have? Why do women or guys panic when things doesn't go their way,
Mm,
right? We're circling back all the way to the beginning now. Why do they
yeah.
panic? Like, is it because you don't think you're doing enough, or is it because the three? I mean, in my head, the top three is you might be insecure about a situation. You haven't dealt with some past trauma that you've dealt with and haven't internalized. You haven't figured out, or like say, I haven't figured out that I take accountability for the issues that I've had for the person. Like say, life moves on. It's like your long distance relationship with Abel.
Mm.
When if you were like that 10 years ago, sabotaging yourself, and you had a situation where Abel was working, he's an attorney, he's in court, he's doing all stuff, and he don't answer you back, and you flash back, now you're not his peace, right? Especially right. So now that you've learned from this, how do you circle back and say like how do you stop to panic that, right? Or a situation, give me situations where you can tell the audience how to stop it.
Well, I think it's important to understand what you're actually doing, for one. So when I panic, when things don't go my way, it's because I have now interpreted control is equaling safety. Like when I grew up with a lot of like emotional chaos and inconsistency, um, there was a lot of unpredictable behavior. I felt unseen, and control became a
Yeah,
safety blanket for me because I learned that if I can control the outcome, I can avoid the pain. And
that is
so
huge.
when life and people and love and all the things they don't respond the way I planned, my nervous system translates it as danger. It's not like, oh, I'm disappointed. It's like, holy fuck, we're gonna die.
That
It's not
bad.
it's not the situation, it's the loss of the control that triggers the panic. My nervous
That's
system is like dangerous equals we're gonna die. There's no middle ground like like I shared disappointment. Like, oh man,
mhm.
I'm just disappointed because it didn't end up the way I wanted it to. It's it's like, okay, if we can't control this and we can't get the outcome that we absolutely want, then our body doesn't know how to respond to it. And it feels like you're going to die. Even though I know logically that's not true, that's not what it feels like in your body, in my
Oh,
body.
that is deep though. That is I mean, that is deep. When you think that because that panic situation, it's almost like is it is it like attached to anxiety maybe?
Well, well, I know, like self-worth is attached to the outcome. So when everything that I do is tied to my identity, like if this
Uh-huh.
works, I'm enough. If it doesn't, I suck, I failed. Any deviation feels like rejection. So that little girl that once got love from being good or perfect or helpful,
Yes.
right? She now panics when the results don't match the effort. So it's not about the thing going wrong, it's the managing or it's the meaning that she assigns to it. So if it's not working, then like, see, I'm just not good enough.
Yeah, because it comes down to, like you said, it's that back and forth struggle that's always happening internally until you learn to quell those emotions or to stop pretending that maybe it's pretending that this is because it's not how you want it to be.
Hmm.
Like I mean that goes to saying how the world doesn't revolve around you, right? Because that in that essence, I understand that because I can understand why people panic when they don't get the text, why people panic when they didn't answer their phone call, or they're not solidified in their relationship where it's like nobody else is going to take them. Is that a huge insecure downfall?
I mean, really what it is it's the uncertainty feels like abandonment. It's
Again, back to that.
back to that. It's uncertainty feels like abandonment. Her body doesn't know how to differentiate between emotional uncertainty and the like an actual abandonment. So when things don't
Yeah.
go as planned, like the text not being returned,
Yeah.
maybe a deal falling through, a plan changing, her nervous system is like, holy shit, something's wrong. I'm being left again. So she reacts big, like anger, control, withdrawal. Um, and it's not about the event, but it's about her body remembering what it felt like to be powerless. And so she wants to get away and escape from that as quickly as possible. I want to feel safe again. So what do I do here? I'm going to lose my shit. I'm going to get really, really angry. I'm going to try to control the situation and I'm just going to not talk to you for a little while because I need to regulate myself. And the only thing I know how to do is just get the hell away from you.
Do women, as a female, most women, do they feel when they the word you mentioned that popped up in is powerless? When women feel powerless, do you guys go into like a different headspace maybe?
Oh my God. So for me, listen, whoa. I just like knocked out my headpiece. I was about to get so animated. For me, I am addicted to predictability.
Okay.
Predictability equals peace to my
Peace.
dysregulated nervous system, right? So when something unexpected happens, then I would spiral. Um, and it wasn't because I couldn't adapt to the situation, but I was so wired to equate unpredictable with unsafe. And
That's big.
and that is why, like, I would micromanage, plan excessively. I freak out when things feel uncertain. And this goes into your business too.
I was just about to say this is the
Oh my
same as
God.
business. Yeah.
Same as business. Like I
The
remember
same.
during COVID, like I was so conditioned to not go to in-person events. And then finally going to an in-person event felt so unpredictable. Oh my God, I don't know what's it's gonna be like to meet these people. Because remember, we stayed home for like what, almost 2 years. Like it was a long time that we worked from home. And going back into being in person with people, what my nervous system really began to freak out. I wanted to be able
Oh,
to like micromanage all of it. And the
you
panic,
couldn't.
right, the panic was really just about my nervous system saying like, I don't know what's coming next. Um, and I don't know if I'll be okay when it does. Like, I don't know what it
Mhm.
is. I don't know if I'll be okay when the thing does come next.
I
And
mean, yeah.
logically, it's like, yeah, 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 I am going to be fine. But when you lived in survival mode for so long, your body constantly swings between the extremes, like high, high, high lows. We talked about this, like the dopamine, high
Yeah.
highs and then low, low lows. So when things don't go my way, right? Like I'm going to feel like this full body flood of chemicals that once signaled danger. Doesn't
True.
mean it's
True.
actually danger. And it's not drama. I know a lot of people say that, oh, she's just being dramatic. No, she's fucking dysregulated. She's not trying to
Dysregulate is the
overreact.
word. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she's not trying to overreact. She just has never taught how, like, what calm power feels like.
Right. Because it comes to show, but it takes, like I said, like for a lot of people, it doesn't happen overnight. I mean,
Mm-mm.
I mean, you have
No
to,
way.
even with my therapist, myself, when I'm coaching people, it doesn't come overnight. And that's where people's like, oh, I'm going to take a 3-day mastermind weekend retreat and get fixed you can't throw money at
No,
it. you,
no, no.
you got,
I mean, and those events are so great. I mean,
they're great.
that's where I started, right?
Of course.
But it's the constant practice after that. You just don't go and you're like,
Application.
aha, I have
Yeah.
arrived and now I can have any relationship I want and be
Yeah.
amazing.
Wait.
The gong. Oh my God,
Gong
I love it.
show. But yeah, you're right because I mean, this was enlightening on so many different parts because you can apply this for business because business is relationships, guys. No matter
Yes.
how you look at it, business is return on investment in relationships that you build today, including yourself. Whether you're in sales, CEO, high experience salespeople, team, you have to make it about other people, but you have to be all right with yourself at the same time.
Mhm.
Because I can show you all kind of tactics, sales, closes, techniques, how to use AI, all this other good stuff. But if you're not right with yourself and you don't know how to adapt and you don't have the anxiety where everything's not going to be perfect, right? Because I you got to be able to deal with the trauma and kind of pinpoint certain things in your life. You look at any guru, anybody that's on stage, anybody that did a tech talk, you are the same person. They're in a different phase of life. They went through the same possible stuff. They just figured out a little bit earlier and explained their things.
Mhm.
Closing the show, Gary, man, this holy, why do we just have too much fun? I swear to God, we got to take this on the road, kind of thing. This is gonna be our next step. The next step is I'm gonna make this live in a live studio audience where we can just answer questions from the live audience. Closing remarks, right? Why do men and women panic in the relationships? I feel is because they're just scared. They haven't dealt with their own thing, their trauma of being uh not secure,
Mhm.
right, within themselves, and it kind of eventually moves on to the relationship, and that's why you panic. You don't have to panic if you're secure, because being confident is actually what people want. They want to be led.
Mhm.
What do you think about that, Close? In fact, I'll let you do what you do best.
I think that every time I go into a lot of like breath work, when my body starts to go into panic, I know that I just get to pause and breathe through the panic. And then I'm teaching my body that I'm safe. Every time I'm choosing the patience, like I get to choose patience over panic. I'm telling my subconscious that I trust myself. And this all goes down to self-trust. And that's what changes everything. It's not the circumstances. It's not the person. Remember, it's never the person, place,
Never,
or thing.
never person, place, or thing.
But it's who
Never.
I become in the moment that things don't go my way. And so, really, it's about mastering emotional safety, self trust, and the power to stay grounded and stay with yourself no matter what's coming your way. And like that is the next layer for people.
Nice, nice. Guys, leave us a comment on our YouTube channel if you want to look at the back shows and the playlist. They are in our school community. If you want to look back into our YouTube and find the clips, guys, hit that like button or share if you like this type of stuff, because you want to see more Carrie. In fact, you've been seeing too much of Carrie, but she gives the best advice, and that's why I bring her up, because when you can have two different perspectives from two people that put in the work for themselves, that's what makes us qualified to even share this with all of this stuff in business, in relationships, in health, in wealth, in everything else that we got going on. Carrie, close the show while I get this off for our closing remarks.
Stop needing the world to cooperate with you in order for you to feel safe. You get to start radiating a totally different frequency. You get to become the calm in your chaos and the person who no longer like begs for life to go my way. I get to know that the way that I know that my way is the way that I'm creating my life. And so that's where I'll
Beautiful.
leave it.
All right, guys, this is Gordon Watt from Bondage and Brotherhood. If you want to reach out to Miss Carrie Paluro, find her on all social medias. Watch some of her stuff. You kind of like start reflecting back on your stuff. All right, guys. Hello. Boop, boop. That was a deep one.
Yeah, that was wild. Wow.
That was a good one. Holy crap.